This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 8 12 15. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Thank you, caller.
Beautifully done, Frank.
Very nice.
Thanks. So, I'll tell you what I did this week. I carried a cake over 2 miles.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever carried a full-sized, proper, heavy cake on a plate thing that
You do love a world record attempt, though.
I
don't
do.
you?
Funnily enough, I was watching, I forget what they're called. You'll know, Al. There's something Giants, which is like a branch of the world's strongest men. In fact, they were on in Manchester. I was half waiting for Alan to come striding out in a mankini. Didn't happen.
Me, I think you'll find the world's strongest men is very much my specialist area of interest.
You both have
mine.
a foot in the resin tray, I would say.
I had a foot in a lot more than that.
It was amazing. There was a bit where they had to carry 2 very, very heavy weights and run with them, but they looked like they were suitcase shaped. So it looked like someone running for a bus. A big man running for a bus.
Very heavy luggage.
Yeah, and then when they got to the other end, they had to drag an anchor back the other way.
Oh, do you know they love an anchor?
Oh, man, I don't know what they'd do without an anchor. What would they carry? They'd have to use livestock.
What about? Well, it's very tricky for them. I mean, I realise I'm obsessed by them and I talk about them rather too frequently. But what about when he told me? I was quite shocked. It was Terry. I think he was the British entrant. About how often he breaks toilet seats.
Oh. No, I can. What with these? Is that what they do instead of ripping up phone books? No, there are no longer. They do 10 minutes of gurning and then snap it in two. There were 4. I think in the top 10 there were 4 men from Ukraine. If I was Putin, I would think twice before going in there.
A lot of Ukrainians.
Sees it as a numbers game, I think.
So anyway, Boz had a Secret Santa at school, and his Secret Santa present was an enormous cream strawberry and velvet. Is it velvet? Do they call that
Red
kind
velvet,
of cake?
darling.
Red velvet cake.
Oh, yeah.
Which was lovely but quite heavy, and there's only really one way to carry a cake like that, and that's in front of you. You know what I mean? So, like you're bearing the crown on a cushion at the coronation, that kind of.
Hang on, his Secret Santa was a giant cake. Goodness me.
Well, the rule at their school is you have to make your present for the other person, you can't just go out and throw money at the problem.
Someone made him a red velvet cake.
Yeah, one of the kids in the class made him a
I was
cake.
just going to ask, was it a parent or a child?
No, it was a child's name on it.
Oh,
He goes
I would have
delve.
left it.
I do not delve.
He goes to the sort of school where those kids that are like protégés that end up on Junior MasterChef go. That's amazing.
Class warfare from Alan Cochrane. Alan Cochrane, former drama school student.
Yeah. Got a grant.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, we all did. I got 2. I'll be honest with you.
Play.
Well, don't bring me into this. I can't imagine
They're
which side
stacked
I'd
with
fall
degrees.
So, yeah, I've never carried a cake 2 miles in my life. And I'll tell you something now on the subject of the world's strongest men. I think they'd have struggled with it. You use muscle, because what do you carry like that out in front of you for any period of time? All you carry like that is a plate from kitchen to table kind of thing. But to carry it 2 miles over rough terrain.
Mm-hmm. Rough terrain, Frank, come on.
Hampstead Heath.
And did you have, what sort of a plate was it on?
It was in an upturned Quality Street thing. So it sat on the tray, and then the bowl of the Quality Street became the lid. The world was upside down there for a second.
Did you keep it intact?
Oh, yeah. It was a great cake. I didn't drop it, but I could feel it in my shoulders and forearms after that. The cake workout.
Do you know, I'm really proud you kept that cake intact.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, I think that's
so.
great.
You should try it. Have a day off the kettlebells. Is that what they call it? And just try. When you get your Christmas cake, Just go around the block 4 or 5 times out. You'll feel the sinews rising. You look like a William Blake painting, or Madonna, or anyone else with their veins on the outside.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
I was just scribbling down your cake workout, which I'm going to take a lot of credit for online.
Honestly, it's hard. You know, there are things, and I know I respect that you know more about building muscle than I. But you know, when you use muscles that you don't normally use, that's my point. You don't. You wouldn't get
that, dear.
You don't see people carrying, you know, the weights, the circular weights you put on the end for a whatever you call them. We used to call them a barbell, but I don't think they call them that anymore.
No,
you don't see anyone carrying those like a plate of pancakes. That's basically what I was doing. Yeah. That's what they should try. I suppose it was like that moment just before you released the caber in the Highland Games, but for 2 miles.
Yeah, and significantly lighter, I would suggest.
Well,
yes,
my point is it was a great cake. It was one of the best.
I'd be worried if a personal trainer suggested the cake walk as an exercise.
Oh, yeah, the cake walk.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where it comes from. Doctor Who news.
Trainer would have to get told to shut that cake.
Hang on, ow. Doctor Who news, apparently.
No, I was happy for that. To hear "Shut Your Cake Off" on national radio, it sort of disappeared.
Who was the last person that said that? Must have been Del Boy.
Probably me, actually.
Could have been. Michael Sheen. There's been rumours that Michael Sheen, the man of 1,000 faces, was going to be the next Doctor Who. Oh. And I'll tell you what he said. He made a statement, and he said, "Now this is something I always say that it's a sort of thing that Dave Swift in sales would say. I mean, not there isn't a real person, but you know the kind of bloke. I mean, he said, "It ain't me." And it's that use of ain't.
He went ain't.
He went completely ain't.
Did he?
So he's not going to be.
I didn't know he was
I didn't
from what I call the Ain't Brotherhood.
No, I didn't think he was an ain'ter.
Who sits in the Ain't Brotherhood chair? Like, who can you most imagine? Does Clarkson say ain't?
You know what? I think he might be too smart to say ain't.
I think he might. Okay.
I'd go someone like Jamie Oliver or Vinnie Jones, someone southern.
No, I'm not.
Well, that's this morning's texting. Celebrity most likely to ironically use the word ain't. 8, 12, 15. Anyway, he's not going to be the new Doctor Who, Michael Sheen, it turns out.
Oh, I thought of someone who did say it. Didn't Alexander Armstrong use it?
Oh, yes. Because on one of his, I'm going to call it albums, on one of his albums for the elderly, he did Golden Brown, the Stranglers here, and what he said about it was "Stranglers light, it ain't." Was what he actually said, which was weird as well that he used it then, because of course that's exactly what it was. Don't use ain't if it's not going to be true. Don't get me wrong, he's a lovely bloke, but the albums, even Homer nods, as they say.
So he's sitting in the armchair, the Armstrong chair at the moment.
Is there a new album this Christmas? I haven't seen the...
No, I'm saying he's sitting in the ain't armchair.
But with his overcoat collar turned up, walking through a cornfield.
Please stop this, I can't.
I don't get the alerts anymore.
No.
Oh, the Armstrong alert.
I think the album has not come out this year.
Armstrong album alert.
I don't not check Amazon on my account.
Hang on, he'd had Scarborough Fair, didn't he?
He did.
Oh, was that on the last album? That was on the difficult first album.
They're both quite difficult.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
By the way, when I was saying that Michael Sheen isn't going to be Doctor Who, I wasn't correct. He he was nice about Doctor Who, just that he hadn't got the job. I don't want any rage against the M. Sheen.
Just because he hadn't got what I believe Princess Diana referred to as the top job.
No, what was she up for Doctor Who? She was
Not
slightly.
everyone considers that the top job, Frank. She meant the ultimate job, and she referred to it, I think she once said of Prince Charles, I'm not sure if he will ever get what I call the top job.
What I liked about that is you looked down at the floor for a bit. It's impossible to do a Princess Diana without looking down at the floor for part of the impression.
You ain't wrong, my friend.
If she had her own radio show, you'd need a mic on the desk level and one just above to allow for the bowed humility.
We've had a lot of our readers getting in touch, suggesting names for the Ain't chair.
Oh, lovely. This is the celebrity most likely to say ain't, which is... that's quite a good title to have in your life.
So we have John Hopkins.
Yes, he's a regular, isn't he?
Yes, you always call him...
Hopkins.
He says, I bet Hugh Grant throws in a few ironic ain'ts.
Oh, maybe. Slightly posh ain't. He's gone to the posh ain't side of things, yeah. Now, I can hear that, because there's a
Hopkins is never wrong.
Yeah, there's a slight sense of dressing down when Hugh Grant does an ain't.
Yes, I think so. And he says, on the subject of Alexander Armstrong's album Music for the Elderly... Sorry.
No, it is not called that. Can we make that clear? Anyone who's trying to find it now on...
Often played loud, that album.
Very, very loud indeed. And apparently, on the vinyl version, smells of lavender.
What does he cover on it? In olden days, a glimpse of stalking.
Look, I bet he sold a lot.
Oh, you ain't lying.
No?
Does the golden brown he croons about refer to Werther's originals?
Oh, poor Xander. No, it's all right. He'll be fine with it.
Ian Botterill, based on past form with Let's Be Avenue, Delia Smith would exclaim, ain't like a canary.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
I mean, can we unpack that little tweet? Like
I
a
agree.
canary? I mean, that works on a lot of levels.
There's a lot to
First
like
of all,
in
it's
that
a tweet.
A second.
Yeah.
Oh, Frank.
Second,
Norwich.
Norwich, of course, she's the Norwich chairperson,
Yeah.
I believe. And also, of course, she was a cage fighter in Diss, in the Suffolk
right.
town of Diss when she was a teenager.
Yeah.
Peter Sheridan has suggested the late Derek Acora, who used to say, I ain't going in there.
Oh, right. The world of spirits.
And then, we've got so many of these, so I'll save some of these up for you.
I wonder
lucky
if
people, but we
Derek
don't-
is
sorry.
Derek Acora on the other end of any other acts now, spiritualist acts?
I beg your pardon.
Well, is he like our man in the land of spirits? I wonder if there's anyone who's using him as a familiar. What was his familiar called? Was it Joe?
Oh, what was it?
What was the name of Derek Acora's familiar? 8, 12, 15.
He used to get angry with him, didn't he, sometimes?
Who the familiar got
Yeah.
angry with Derek. Derek was extremely respectful to...
Nick Bartram, Greg Wallace is in the Ain't chair.
Oh, yeah.
This soup, that
They're
soup
very-
ain't, he says, that soup ain't bad, Herbert.
Very good ain't...
Work.
Yeah. What was the word I was going to... Yeah, it's sort of a bit like when you go dousing for ain'ts. Yeah, but yeah, all of those people, it sits easy on their lips. Well done, everyone, on the ain't front.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Ginsberg's Pasty
sorry.
has suggested another Ain't chair contender, Fats Domino.
Oh, of course, ain't that a shame? Yeah, but I suppose that's an ironic ain't from Fats. So I don't know. Can we still call him Fats?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Al. Thanks for that permission. Yeah.
And Grumpy Dad has suggested Emily Dean. I reckon she says ain't 3 to 4 times a day.
Oh,
Oh, sir, how wrong you are.
well.
I'm not very ain't, really.
No.
I'm a lot of things, but I'm not very ain't.
This sounds like the beginning of a song from Oliver. I'm not very ain't, Bill. I don't care what you say, but I can't, Bill.
I mean, I'm ancient, but I'm not
Oh,
ain't.
no,
Oh,
no,
come
never
on.
you. Never you.
Okay.
Never.
I wondered if Frank might be interested in me reading a text that begins, Frank's dead right.
Yeah, it sounds good so far, unless it's talking about any of my limbs.
I mean, I'm happy
I've
to...
cleaned that up a bit.
Always happy to read out your being corrected, but here we've got someone affirming your point. Frank's dead right. The unnatural action of holding a cake with your elbows bent at a right angle for a length of time strains your arms. Well, so far agreeing with you, but who is this guy? Do they even know what they're talking about? It continues, I'm a chef and it happens to me. And then there's some praise, but I mean, there's a chef verifying the difficulty of what you've described.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how far he's carrying it. Might work in a really big kitchen, might be in room service, might be from kitchen to room.
Yeah.
You see, I think I would have been very tempted to sing Carry That Weight if I'd have been you.
Carry that cake.
Yeah, just in your brass in pockets thing. I wouldn't have been able to help myself. How could you resist?
I was in too much pain to sing. You don't understand. I really got to a point where I thought, I can't put it on the floor. It's very muddy out here, but it was such a nice. I mean, it tasted great, and the good thing is I'd burnt off the calories carrying it. So then I was able to enjoy a nice big fat slice with a big fat strawberry on the top.
Okay.
Yum.
854 has reminded us we've had a lot of people. 441, Derek Akora's chap was Sam.
Chap?
854.
He's chap?
Derek Akora's familiar with Sam. They first met 2,000 years ago when Derek was in Ethiopia.
Oh, I didn't know the origin story of their
He was an
relationship.
Ethiopian boy, I believe. Yeah.
That reminds me, I saw a documentary about a guy who said he was possessed by Handel. Thingy Friedrich Handel. And I can't remember the first name.
Thingy Friedrich.
What's the first name?
I'm not sure if that's...
Anyway,
Welcome to Module 1 at the Royal Academy of Music.
Messiah Handel. That Handel.
George Frederick
That
Handel.
Thanks.
Very good.
GFH.
You couldn't get a grip on Handel there,
I
could you?
could. I just couldn't. I just couldn't. And they interviewed this guy, and he said, yes, I first met Handel when I was the society beauty, Lady Anastasia Dufont. And we both lived, and I thought, this can't get any more ridiculous. And then he said, and we both lived in Atlantis at the time. I thought, mate, too many liars. Too many liars there. If you'd have left it, if you just said, I feel I'm in contact with Handel, that would have been fine. Then you're a society beauty.
And now you're man from Atlantis.
Oh, I saw a strange... How did this happen? I've been watching the Test cricket from Australia, as always thinking, I can't believe that this is happening live in Australia, and I'm watching it on telly.
What time is it then? About 3 in the morning?
It starts about 4 in the morning because it's a day-night game.
That's
But the
depressing.
incredible thing, the ball goes out to the boundary, pursued by a fielder. There's advertising all around. What is being advertised on the boundary? Woolworths.
Shut up.
What is the time difference between here and Australia?
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Can you remember? I mentioned that they. I presume they still have Woolworths in Australia. Then, unless someone just hasn't taken the sign down, which seems unlikely.
Well, Ian Angel has texted one of his jokes. Frank, why would the Aussies need woolies when it's their summer? You see?
Yeah, I see.
Woolworths, woolies.
No, I get it. I think that's all right. Do you remember their advertising slogan?
How would you feel if someone responded to your joke like that? I get it. I think it's all right.
Well, as long as they've paid. You get used to it. Woolworths advertising slogan, do you remember?
Oh, well, was it Woolies?
It was, that's the wonder of Woolworths. And at Christmas, there was a song that went, "That's the wonder of Woolworths. That's the wonder of a Woolies Christmas." It was really...
Did the estate of
Don't
Elvis
remember
Presley sue? Priscilla Presley, I believe.
I
owns the estate,
don't
doesn't
think
she?
they did. Favourite advertising slogans of all time that aren't quite right?
Okay.
8, 12, 15. I'll tell you what. Do you remember that one? Do you remember the? We don't want just good advertising
No, we
slogans.
don't want going to work on an
obviously
egg or whatever.
our purpose is to sneer at them, not to celebrate them.
I'm here for that.
Do you remember the Kellogg's one?
We come here to sneer at
I never understood the Kellogg's one. Maybe someone could
Apologies.
The Kellogg slogan used to say, "We don't make cereals for anyone else."
Oh, yeah.
Who accused you of that?
Also, who cares what you do in your spare
Yeah,
time?
it's fine. You can, I know you've got another life.
We don't care what you get up to.
Were they
Kellogg.
accused? There's a scandal going on. There's someone. Hold on, this is cornflakes. Even though it's called Golden Snow, it's actually cornflakes.
I feel also, you're right, Kellogg's are involving us too much in the backroom
Yeah, I don't
admin.
want to know your business.
We don't want to know what's going on.
As scandals go, for Dr. Kellogg, I believe that small beer is him making cereal for other people.
Yeah, I just think it's. I don't get that. Should I?
Dr. Kellogg was an interesting one. I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
Can I
fine.
say another slogan which I've always struggled with?
Go on.
I think it was too complex a concept to grasp as a slogan. Keep it simple, Morrow, as I once heard shouted at Arsenal. Ironically enough, some may say. Never knowingly undersold.
Oh, yeah.
No one really knew what it meant.
I don't know what undersold
Exactly.
means.
And how old are you? How old am I? I don't really know. I know what it means now, but it's too much.
means-
No, that's the thought. That's a good point. I've never really.
He used the word knowingly.
There was
Knowingly is if we ignore the internet. That's what they mean.
I mean, I'm glad it happened because there was a fast bowler called John Lewis, and everyone used to say never knowingly under bowled, which was
Oh, that's good.
And I know what that under bowled means. It means you don't get enough overs from your captain, but I don't know what undersold means.
I think it's a terrible error.
Let's end on a more uplifting one. What about Skittles? Taste the rainbow. Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely Skittles. I love a Skittle. Can I have a Skittle? They taste the rainbow. Beautiful. And they don't make Skittles for anyone else.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 8 12 15. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
We've actually just had a text come in that says, guys, there is Woolworths in South Africa too.
Is there really?
Can I say I love a use of guys, especially if it's
Yeah, I
slightly
enjoy
passive
guys.
aggressive.
Yeah.
It continues. It's pretty much like M&S here. Have a good one, Andy Williams. What are the chances?
Almost there. We're almost there. That was my Andy Williams. What did you think? Andy Williams asked me once.
It's not that terrible.
Andy Williams said if we
Too good
brought
to be
out,
true.
he said if we brought out my old shows, you remember the shows that had the Cookie Bear and the Man in the Suitcase things. He did like comedy skits.
Okay.
He said if we brought them out on DVD, do you think they'd sell?
What did you say? Oh, please don't tell me you gave one of some of your useful bits of advice.
Uh-oh.
I said, yeah, get them out there, Andy.
That's
And he
nice.
said, you think so? I said, yeah, they're really funny, they're timeless.
Did he get them out there?
I hadn't watched one for like 35 years. I don't think it happened. But I like the idea of Andy Williams asking me about his merch decisions.
Do you know, I got hoisted by my own petard this week. I was speaking to Jonathan Ross, and he was offering advice, and I said, you're like Frank Skinner giving advice to Andrew Lloyd Webber. And you know what he said to me? Yes, And how did that work out? He took the advice.
He did, actually.
There
Yes.
you go.
I found out years later.
Josh Jeffrey, Frank, says in the 90s, just talking about ads, those were the days, hey, golfing legend Seve Ballesteros did an advert for Sunderland waterproof clothing.
Did he?
At the end, he muttered the slogan, "I don't think there's nothing better than Sunderland." The double negative suggesting that there are indeed better options.
Yeah. I don't think there's nothing better than Sunderland. Yeah.
That's good.
But in his charming Spanish
In the
accent.
Spanish way.
Didn't he do American Express as well? I've got an image of a Sevi with.
Yeah.
Oh God!
No, Dan Parsons has texted in just really sort of unfortunate slogans. Time Warner, enjoy better. Fine, I'll watch something else.
Enjoy better. What does that mean?
It's a bit Borat. It's not working for them.
You're supposed to enjoy better than you currently enjoy.
Well, it seems to be
Improve
putting
your enjoyment.
Also, Al, it seems to be putting a lot of the responsibility for the enjoyment on you. Could you please enjoy this better?
Interesting point, that how much we are responsible for our own enjoyment. Let's not make this a phone texting.
I love it when the show creeps into philosophy.
Yeah, me too.
That's what gets me up in the
We
morning.
do, but out there,
We say
I hear
that.
the clicking of 1,000 dials.
Well, in that case, how about we head down the old Previously Road? Would you fancy a bit of that?
Yeah, this is when people are kind enough to text and email us about things that were on previous shows. So a lot of people listen to the show on podcast, for example, and people that just cannot stand the music that I choose.
Okay. Do we have a jingle for them, Frank?
Well, we have an Outside World jingle. We don't have an actual previously one, but I think we have an all-purpose jingle, which I can use. What do you think of this?
Oh, I'm a gummy bear. Yes, I'm a gummy bear. Oh, I'm a gummy, 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 gummy bear.
I don't know. It always cheers me up.
I really thought it was going to be that one that you play.
Which one is that?
Al?
Al's gone.
I think we've lost Al.
Do you think Al meant
Hello.
Al's back?
Hey! Hey!
I knew Al would be brought back. That's like when you bring someone out of a coma by playing them Take That.
Do you know,
I played Dancing Lasher Tomboy and Al came back on air.
I find it very triggering after my Dancing Bear incident, that music.
What was your Dancing Bear
Well, I
incident?
remember the Dancing Bears, and it just reminds me of that. That's the sort of music they play in the circus for the Dancing Bear.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, have you never seen
You
them?
don't get... No, you don't really get the Dancing Bears.
We'll talk in the break.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're part of the unemployed circus people there. Out to pasture.
Unemployed circus. Do they not even do Cannon anymore?
Do what?
Do they not even fire someone out of
I
Cannon?
haven't seen anyone fired out of a cannon for a long time. I don't know how they did that within a tent. Because one imagines they go along. I don't know if I've ever
They
seen
had
it.
a hole in the top of the tent, that's how.
They fired them through the hole in the
Yeah,
tent?
that's
That
right.
cannot possibly be
That
correct.
cannot be true.
I think that's called first-degree murder. Always popular at the circus.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We have got some emails about things that we discussed previously on the show. I'd like to bring Frank's attention to an ecclesiastical complaint that Karen Dodgson has sent in. Sorry to be pedantic. I'm suspecting she isn't.
No, on this show, it's fine.
Sorry to be pedantic, but please can you tell Frank Skinner to stop saying there were 3 wise men? The wise men brought 3 gifts, but nowhere in the Bible does it say how many wise men there were in the group. Thank you. I might have put a bit of tone on that.
Yeah, I've seen it on a Christmas card, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
think...
your move, Karen. Checkmate.
Yeah, and also, you know,
Literally, Karen.
we 3 kings, you know. Not,
don't get me started on We Three Kings.
I had never realised that, Karen. Seriously, I think that's a good point. I've always accepted that there was 3.
Does it never say 3 then?
Well, according to Karen.
Okay. Well, I
she
see
might
you
have
as
just
the
got-
authority, Frank, on these matters.
Well,
She
I
might have just got her Bible from somebody older than her at school that's crossed out the word 3 all the way through it.
yeah, that's possible.
That pesky
but
Gideon, up to his old tricks again. He was
Yeah.
always the naughty one.
section on the Trinity is a bit vague. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting.
I never knew that.
No. Okay, then. The wise men. Well, also, are they kings or are they wise men? As we know, the two are mutually exclusive.
Next to, I mean, well, in my experience, and it's not often you get both in the same vessel, but
No.
there we go.
No.
Seeing as it's an inherited position
I
with
think
very few
Solomon,
skills.
and then they broke the mode.
You think what?
That Solomon, he was wise, and then that was that.
There've been some shockers, though. Herod, terrible man.
Juan Carlos of Spain.
Who's your favourite king?
I don't know anything about him. But
who's your-
king.
Are we
I just
literally
couldn't think of
doing-
a king.
Who's your favourite king at this point?
Ledley King, former England
I
player.
think we
No,
know
he was a good player, though. I'm happy with
Mark
Ledley.
King, former level 42 frontman and
King? Do you remember him? Do you remember him? The 80s star who was just called King. He's from Coventry. What about arriving at that? I just
did
called
he
myself
sing
King. That'll
Love
do.
and Pride? Love
I think he was
Pride.
Prince's dad. And of course, he was married to Freddie Mercury. Oh, it all makes sense. It all makes sense in the end. Pop lineage here on Absolute Radio. What else? What else on the previous? Because I like the idea that people are taking ideas from the previous week and allowing them to marinate and then bringing something new to the table. That's what I think.
Well, the Three Kings.
That
or
was a
not.
good one.
We don't
Yeah.
know. This is another
The
Three
Kings.
Kings. Yes.
Yeah.
On Hello, Emily and the others. My kind of guy.
Wow.
Les Autres. Deal with it. On last week's show, Emily took issue with the lyrics to We Three Kings. Lyrics isn't interesting.
Well, they are.
I suppose they are.
They have to
Saying
qualify.
the opening line was structured incorrectly. You may recall, readers, I'm sure you thought of little else all week. I had a major problem with We Three Kings of Orient are, comma. It just didn't sit well with me. Frank didn't agree, Alan didn't. I've got my own mind. I've held firm on this.
Fair play.
But We Three Kings of Orient are isn't the whole sentence. It's just the first half of one. The full sentence is, We Three Kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar. So I think that works. There are plenty of reasons to pick grammatical holes in hymns and carols, but I don't think this is one. I'm hoping if this is read out, it's in a tone that's light and cheery rather than grumpy or aggressive.
Okay, I love stage direction.
I love you all. I like ignoring them.
I love you all.
I love you all very much.
Oh, that's nice.
And look forward to my Saturdays with you. That is from Tim in Colchester. Thank you, Tim. Peace and
Yes.
love.
Tim, I'll enjoy an oyster this Christmas.
I think...
That's what Colchester's famous for. You looked at me like I said
No,
something
I'll
rude.
tell you why I was looking at you.
Go on.
Because the producer was waving a fez in my eye line. And you know what that
means? Shut up, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
I know what that means.
Okay, let's...
We three presenters of Absolute are. We know the rules.
Yeah, but are the three of us?
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
248. I imagine Paul Daniels to have used the word ain't quite
Oh,
often.
yeah,
That's
definitely.
Gaz in Bury. Thank you, Gaz.
Paul Daniels. I remember when he came and knocked on my dressing room door at the BBC and said, "Come and see my set." And it took me into it, and he'd got like the studio was done as a nightclub because that's where he'd learnt his trade.
Bless his heart.
And introduced me to Ali Bongo.
Oh, excellent.
Did you like it?
You're
Did I like Ali Bongo?
Did you like it?
Ali Bongo, a bit of a magic legend.
yeah.
Yeah, he, yeah. And his
You've worked
brother,
with
of
them
course,
all, haven't you?
Chemical Ali Bongo,
Oh, Frank,
military.
come on.
I mean, today, I'm not accusing you of name dropping, but we've had Paul Daniels and Andy Williams in the same show.
that is true. And Ali Bongo.
And Jonathan Ross.
What a spread. Yeah.
Yeah, I like a bit of name dropping. It's all good fun.
Wow.
I wasn't accusing you. That's just
No,
you've
I
worked
don't.
with them all. Why
I'm not.
wouldn't you?
I'm not ashamed of it. But
It's never an accusation in my book. Surely Bob Dylan resides in the Aintree.
It ain't me, babe. Bob Dylan resides in Aintree. I know he's a big horse racing enthusiast.
Is he?
No. Okay, I'm going to do a bit more name dropping. Dennis Leary, the comedian actor, that's what I call him. Some call him actor comedian.
And you shared a digs with him, as my mother would say.
I did.
in Edinburgh.
He's a great bloke, and he was invited to Bob Dylan's house, and went out there, and he could see as he drove down the drive, he could see Bob Dylan in the distance shouting at some dogs. And he was trying to gather them in, his dogs. He was trying to get them in the house and they wouldn't come to him. And he was screaming, all that. And the dogs wouldn't come. And then he saw Dennis and he came over and he said, can't get the dogs in. Help me. Can you help me get the dogs? The dogs won't come to me. And they had to go out and Dennis had to help him try and get the dogs in.
And then they went back and they composed the song "Who Let the Dogs Out."
No, I don't think that was theirs.
No, I think it was. I think they put a different name on the credit, obviously.
Do you know, I love the idea of Bob Dylan. Even Bob Dylan has to bend down to pick up his dog's bathroom break.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he actually does that. He might have.
Do you
a
think
person.
he has an assistant?
He might have a person. I'm betting Bob Dylan still just leaves it there.
Do you think he does?
Just buys a new pair
to blow in
of
the
gold
wind?
boots when they become too caked. I mean, what's the point of being a legend if you can't do that?
Yeah.
No, that wasn't a rhetorical question.
Okay.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
401 has asked, aren't the Maggie, is it Maggie or Magi or...
Yeah, the Magi.
M-A-G-I.
Magi.
Yeah.
Wise men but not kings. Aren't they named Caspar, Balthazar and Melchior? Hence there are three. Or are the names not part of the Bible canon?
That question to Frank Skinner.
No, that question to Karen. She's the know-all.
Are those their names, Frank? I think they are.
No.
Do you think Liam used to
Christmas
shout
Noel.
taunt Noel with that? You
Noel.
would have if that had been your brother.
Oh, yeah, probably. I imagine him taunting him with anything he could reach, be it physically or intellectually. He let him have it, both barrels.
I wish they'd make up, especially at Christmas.
They will.
Yeah.
Oscar, they will.
It's a bit déclassé to fall out at Christmas.
Déclassé, beautiful.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's right, up there with Madame Sosostris, the famous clairvoyant. What else from the past?
George Minister, one of your friends, Frank.
Really?
I am old enough to remember the toothpaste ad. The emphasis was all incorrect there. I want to do that again. I'm old enough to remember the toothpaste ad. You'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent.
Okay. Oh, you'll wonder where the yellow went. You wouldn't get that now, would you? That's too real.
No.
They exposed the innards a lot more in those days.
I remember there used to be a toothpaste advert where it used to... a person went into a shop and was looking at toothpaste, and the grocer... It's actually had a caption that said Mr. Mason, grocer. And he'd got like a white, almost like a lab coat on. And he said, can I recommend this toothpaste? wouldn't you be happy if you could reduce your plaque by blah blah blah? And the customer said, is that possible? And he said, we hope so. And I thought, who's we? What is it? You work in a shop. You're Mr. Mason Grocer, not Mr. Mason Dental Researcher. I've never known such pomposity in the midst of an advert. Anyway, if you're watching, Mr. Mason, you won't be. I am guessing you're no longer with us.
Yeah.
No.
Ah, well, you had a good innings.
Yeah.
I don't know that for sure.
We also had someone, I'm trying to find it, but we had someone suggesting, well, we had a couple of things. There was someone saying they didn't understand Never Knowingly Undersold. This was Che. I still can't get that one to make sense in my head. Frank Skinner, perhaps you could explain that while I just dig out another one.
Well, I'm happy to have a try. But that clock, have you noticed there that Sarah, the producer, has started putting the fez down like this? So that when the bosses say that link was too long, she'll say, well, you heard me put the fez down. It wasn't my fault.
Oh, is that what it is?
Oh, yeah. Nobody wants to actually take any responsibility anymore for anything. Where are we going to be?
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
I'd like to bring your attention to a story that's been in the news this week, and that is that some researchers, often interchangeable with nerds, that word, these researchers have spent their time in lockdown watching 25 Marvel Universe movies.
Oh.
And what they've come up with is that these characters are going to age badly. They're going to have a tough time in old age.
Okay.
Things like chronic conditions.
This is based on their sort of their superhero sort of lifestyles, essentially.
Yeah, I think it takes its toll on the body being
I should think
a
it does.
superhero. I mean, do you remember we used to mock researchers that devoted their time to shampoo instead of curing disease? Now I wonder if these are sort of peak researchers wasting their time with their... I suspect
also,
they might just be trying to put their Netflix subscriptions through on expenses.
That's what it is, though.
I think you'll find that they are on Disney Plus.
Disney
Most
Plus
of
too,
those.
yeah.
There seems to be a few that they haven't seen all the films, because one of the things they said was that Iron Man will fare well in old age. I think they've missed a fairly recent Avengers movie. I think I can say it
Is
now.
he quite
it's,
a heavy liver, is he?
I'm saying he doesn't... it's the living thing that doesn't go so well. Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
No, but come on, that's been out.
Oh,
years.
come on, like I care.
Yeah.
I care, but
Also, yeah, I know, although I would say Iron Man, I mean, you know my feelings on these comic book people, but what I would say is if I had to hang out with any of them, it would be Iron Man. He's the one that appeals because of my...
His superhero quality is wealth, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, that's not right. It's because I have a fear of creased clothing. You know that.
Okay.
And he's smooth.
I would say that. Well, he's Iron Man, isn't he? I would say.
I see.
I would say it as more of a command to him, and perhaps in a Geordie accent.
I don't think Tony Stark, the man who's inside the thing, does any ironing. He's a millionaire playboy.
I mean, he's getting better all the time.
Yeah. He's one of the... I would say, if you saw DC Comics and Marvel Comics as the two big rivals, obviously, then he is the sort of the reflection of Batman, whose superpower is rich. So if you're very rich, you can get quite a lot of machinery and you've got time to get super fit as well. Batman, I know he doesn't fit into this because I only watch Marvel stuff, but it's took a toll on him, I should think. All that, swinging off buildings and
Oh, I didn't know he
things.
got involved in that.
Oh, God, he does a lot of that. And also, they said that Spider-Man will suffer because he has a lot of sleepless nights fighting crime.
Yeah.
Well, they
Yeah, but that's
Sorry, Frank.
taking the lyric too literally. You know, that in the dead of night at the scene of a crime. You know that from the Spider-Man song?
Spiderman.
But he does-
Spiderman.
I would say, in my memory of the comics and the films, I would say the majority of his activities in broad daylight.
Yeah.
Is it?
Also, I would say that a bigger threat to Spider-Man is if he marries and his wife eats him after the marital conquest.
That's
Surely
something he
that's-
needs to be careful
Can
of.
I say what I think Spiderman has to watch in at old
Spiderman.
age? No. Who was nominated or perhaps won an Oscar for Kramer versus Kramer? Was it Dustin Hoffman? No, Dustin Hoffman. Spiderman is living in our world. He's going to have to play by our rules. Spiderman.
I suppose once you've survived being bitten by a radioactive spider, you can get overconfident. You know what I mean? You can think.
Spiderman, what I would say to you, Frank, is that his issue is going to be related to wearing. He's committed to an outfit which I'm afraid is going to be quite unforgiving in later
like
years.
football fans.
Yeah.
The fabric has not been thought through. It is not a long-time friend to him.
I know. I mean, well, Bill Shatner just got a corset. Simple as that.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the frank at absoluteradio.co.uk.
I come bearing a text message from 102 who says,
All right, Casper.
a quick calculation tells me Frank has said the top of the hour bit over 1,500 times and still can't remember it. Maybe this should be Frank's New Year resolution.
Yes, it's yeah, that would be quite good to learn it. I have tried doing it for various reasons. Tried doing it off
Part
the
of the
top of my
problem,
head.
though, is you'll go to all the trouble of learning it, and then, next year there will be another method of communication. You'll be saying
Well, that's it.
messages on Wigwam or,
Yeah, well, the
Zappers
the
on-
KGB will have seized the internet from us, and there will be no addresses. Might get away with texting if we're lucky.
532, just to pass on, has got in touch to say, I can't let today's show pass. Fortunately, they go on.
Yeah.
Without commenting on Frank's reading of Michael on Wednesday night's Sky Arts programme. Wow, I cried my heart out.
Oh.
That is all.
Yes. So did I have to say. Yeah. I'm doing in case you know, I'm doing a documentary with Denise Miner about
Very good reviews, can I
about
say.
Wordsworth. Yeah, I did a bad thing this week because I had to send my COVID test results to Emily and the producer, and I lay the little plastic thing on top of a 5-star
Yeah.
review that I had in the Times
I noticed
as
it.
background.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit naughty. Nevertheless, I read a poem called Michael, which always makes me cry, basically, and I cried. And also this week, my brother-in-law Jack was on Desert Island Discs last Sunday.
Oh, I must hear that.
Jack Thorne, I advise you to check it out. It was a brilliant Desert Island disc, but he cried as well. So the whole family's blarting all over the place. It's not big news anymore. There's so much blarting on the telly. I mean, can imagine it's a Strictly final tonight. Imagine the tears.
Oh, is it tonight?
Yeah. Whereas when I
Is Johannes still in it, Frank?
oh yeah,
Oh, well, then there'll definitely be tears.
there's only 2 couples in the final
Oh, yeah.
because poor old AJ has got a bad foot.
Oh, dear.
So I remember. So we both cried this week, coincidentally, in various forms of the media. And I remember when Mylene Klass cried on my chat show. It was like headline news.
Really?
And now there's people crying all over.
Well,
the
as we
place.
know, there's one show which is based around the premise. I mean, it's a prerequisite. You have to sign a contract, I believe, that you will cry when you go on. We know which one that is.
Is that Piers Morgan's Thingy Lives?
Piers Morgan's Thingy Lives.
I can't
is that
remember.
like Thingy Frederick Handel?
I can't remember what it's called.
It's called Piers Morgan's Life Stories.
Thingy.
PMS. I
Okay.
missed out the
LS.
I know, but I missed that a bit out.
National Treasure? Will he be the last person to be called a national treasure in the public eye if there was a list? Maybe not. When Miley in class cried, I remember I called for tissues, and one of the sort of production team brought on tissues and put them about 6 foot away from the sofa I was on. And I said, in the midst of this emotional moment, "They're no good there, are they?" with an expletive as well in there. So that dragged it all down. But anyway, yeah, a lot of tears about. But thanks for that. It was genuine, from the heart stuff, as was Jack Thorne's. Listen, honestly, that's a great Desert Island Discs. It'll get you right there.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
On this thing about Marvel heroes getting aches and pains and illnesses, I saw Spiderman No Way Home this week, and there's a bit in that where
What about the night bus?
I don't think this is as far. It's got a bit of a back issue, and let's say a fellow crime fighter, to avoid spoilers, does that thing, when you sort of fold your arms angel-like, and then someone gets behind you and really squeezes you and your back goes... Is it a real thing, and does it work? Because it works for Spider-Man perfectly in the film.
What do you mean? What does it do?
It looks a
for
bit like the
Spider-Man?
Heimlich, but it makes your back crack.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I tell you, the
You
closest...
ever done it, Al?
Yeah, I've had a go at all of it.
Does it work?
Extraordinary.
I think it feels a release, but I think it's also what chiropractors do, isn't it? In a sense, it's basically like an adjustment. I don't know if it's good or bad or indifferent.
No, I'm not saying don't do it this Christmas. I just wondering if it's real. It's like in football, if somebody dislocated a shoulder, you'd see a bloke come on in a flat cap with a bucket and a sponge, and he'd just get his arm and just swing it round till it went back into the socket.
And similarly, in Madonna's film Truth or Dare, In Bed with Madonna, called Regional Variations applied to the title. But you would see her, that was part of her pre-gig ritual, was that she would have someone swiveling her neck, essentially, and clicking it back into place. Yeah, you would hear the crack.
I believe Mel Gibson's character in Lethal Weapon also dislocated his shoulder, but that was fiction. That's not...
Yeah, I would have thought Madonna. If you imagine how Madonna's staff feel about her, I wouldn't let them anywhere near a neck-breaking situation. The temptation to just snap it like a carrot must have been heavy in the air.
That's a good point, actually. I wonder if dictators ever get a wet shave when they're at the bar.
No, exactly. You got to be careful. I have
Can I
to
ask
say.
a question? I don't know why this suddenly occurred to me. Do I have to... Should I leave my postman? Do I have to give him some money? Because it's Christmas.
Is he a regular postman?
Oh,
or-
he's one of my
or does he
regulars,
fro-
yeah. We have conversations and all sorts. How does one deal with this? 8, 12, 15.
Well, I don't want to say yes in case my postman is listening.
Would you give your postman money?
I did last year, but I think that's because she battled on through COVID and all that.
I just don't want to put in cash in an envelope. It's all a bit...
Oh, I don't do the envelope. I do
does
that
one
thing
do?
like when you used to work cash in hand, when you walk up and sort of put it in their pocket and look in the other direction, all sort of surreptitious.
Oh, that's a bit
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Goodfellas. I like
It is, I like a
Goodfellas.
bit of that.
No.
By the way, when we went, I took my son, who's 9, to see Spider-Man No Way Home, and at the end of it, I said, "What did you think?" He said, "That's never happened to me before." And I said, "What happened?" He said, I cried. I cried at the sad bit, and that's the first time he's cried at a film. It's quite a moment.
Myling, Class, and then Buzz.
Do you
Who
remember?
next?
Yes, it's been a very teary week in our family.
You and the Virgin Tears, Frank.
Yeah, what can you remember the first film you cried at? I think I can.
I can, very definitely.
Go on.
Mine was The Outsiders, which was a film that starred all the original sort of Brat Pack actors. First time I ever saw Tom Cruise, pre his teeth being fixed. Anyway, based on the S.E. Hinton novel for youths. Wonderful film. I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but I'm afraid... it makes me cry thinking about it.
I haven't seen it.
Well, I'm not going to ruin it, but there's a line when someone says, "Stay gold, pony boy." I'm actually welling up thinking of
Stay
it.
gold, pony boy.
Oh, it's making me cry. Oh, I got
Wow.
tears in my eyes.
Doesn't Hagrid...
I've got tears in my
Doesn't
eyes.
Hagrid say that to one of the centaurs in
I'm
the
just saying
Deathly
it's in a
Hallows?
hospital, okay?
I get it.
My eyes. My eyes.
My eyes!
When was the first time you cried, Frank
Mine
Skinner?
was Love Me
crying.
Tender, Elvis Presley. He dies and his ghost appears at the graveside singing Love Me Tender.
Now I'm actually crying.
Yes, it was awful.
I think the
Awful.
first time I cried at a
love
film was when I had to pay my own ticket.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Every now and again we get a text that I don't think is meant for the radio show. I think it's a text between friends or perhaps a married couple or something.
Okay.
And
Frank
one has just
sometimes
come in.
texts Kath by mistake.
124 has just texted, okay, just going to clean rabbits, kiss kiss. I don't think that's for us.
No, I don't think that's... But I'm glad that they're being cleaned. I was... When I had a rabbit, and I was...
So did I.
You can... just to give you a
For
sense...
the ladies out there.
Yes, I decided to keep going.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Please, let me off the hook. Let me off the embarrassment hook. Yeah, I had a rabbit called a chubby checker, which gives you a sense of when that might have been. And I didn't clean him often enough. He looked like he looked like a snooker table. They're so pro. He didn't get the mixer. No, he didn't get that.
We've also had an answer for Emily about tipping the postman. 161 has texted.
It sounds a bit nefarious when you put it like that.
Yeah. 161, I'm a postman and it's lovely to receive a tip.
Oh, good.
You tip a waiter or bellboy for a one-off service.
True.
Postmen and women deliver every day, come rain or shine. A few kind words in a card goes a long way.
Does it? Okay.
Oh, that's all they want, a few kind words.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to go. Also, I've got to pick you up on a couple of points. I don't tip a waiter or a bellboy for a one-off service, so
I think we're all aware of that.
be careful what you assume there, 161.
I don't know if a bellboy, if I saw one. Aren't they just in like 1950s American movies?
I don't tip a bellboy because I don't live in a Billy Wilder comedy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't share a house with Cinderella. Bellboy? I've never heard such talk. Well, I have, but not for 40
years. The last time I heard such talk was Elvis
Oh, yeah.
ranting about...
People,
what was he ranting?
freaks, carry your luggage, hanging around working. Yeah. Yeah, it was one of his stranger moments, but Elvis's strangeness is in some ways even better than his talent.
I love that he had the strange moments, you know. And I've got my eye on an Elvis cape, like the black one he wore for his meeting with Richard Nixon. We'll get on to that another time.
Can I say, by the way, that when I went to see the new Spiderman movie, outside the cinema, you know that old-fashioned thing where you can put letters, there's like a white awning and you can put letters on to say the name of the film. You know that thing? It's like those things people have on their fridge poetry. And they'd written on it, not on the web, on the cinema. And I thought it's a lot of effort for another old web pun, isn't it? But
also
good on
the
them.
web, I mean, come on.
Yes.
Can I talk to you about... It's that time, actually, where I want to discuss the Christmas meal.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I think I know which one this is going to be. There's a high-profile Christmas meal been in all the papers this
you've
week.
got it. If you're thinking of the one I'm thinking of, it's the school in West Sussex. They've been lambasted by parents, not basted.
Were they self-lambasting?
I knew he couldn't resist. Beautiful. After serving up this school I'm going to go grim. It was Brothers Grimm, this Christmas dinner, wasn't it? The students uploaded the photos online, revealing the meal, which, I mean, it was a sorry affair. It was excessively dry, the bap.
I'll tell you what, as the Fez was at the table, let's make this a sparse Christmas meal cliffhanger, and we'll come back to what it actually contained. So far, we've got a white, unbuttered bap.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first component.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We gave our 2 postmen some chocolates and a card, mainly to make us feel better about our dog barking every time they come to our door.
Oh, but that's a tradition, isn't it? You got to have that.
I mean, I don't know if Nick Saunders lives on a street in the Beano. It sounds so sort of tradcore, all of this.
I went to a fun fair this week with Bars Andy's friend of a similar age, and his friend said to me, I think that those cans that you have to knock over, he said, I haven't seen any of the bottom row knocked over. I think they might be glued to the thing.
Wow.
And I thought, well, I should hope so. It's a fair, unless they're breaking some long tradition. But he became very alarmed by it and couldn't take his eye. He kept watching, waiting to see if any of the lower things went over. And I think sometimes you just accept dogs fight post people, and you're not going to knock those cans over most of the time.
Yeah.
Oh, there must be one stack that'll go. I sort of accept that. I think it's tradition. Anyway,
Meanwhile,
we got a white dry bap.
We got a white, allegedly a bap. I mean, what did it look like? 2 bits of old sponge.
Well,
No butter.
or March.
Within it, there was a slither of turkey. I would say the turkey, I would describe it. Do you remember when Lady Sov was in the Big Brother house?
I do.
And she used a unit of measurement, Frank. Do you remember what that unit of measurement was?
Oh, now that... Yeah.
Do you want me to remind you?
Go on.
I've never forgotten it. Do you remember it, Al?
Was it soupçon?
No. She said, how much do you want? And she said, sort of a cat's paw.
Oh, yes.
Cat's paw's worth.
A cat's paw. Was that a measure in a drink?
It was a measure of drink. She wanted a cat's paw's worth. And I thought, Frank really appealed to you that she'd sort of come up with this unique measuring system. So if we're going to stay within the animal family, I would describe the turkey as a sort of squirrel's cape.
Yeah. But a squirrel's cape, I actually thought that I loved the idea of a squirrel's cape.
Okay.
The trouble is with the squirrel's cape, it wouldn't hang very easy because of the tail.
You're absolutely right. Perhaps another animal I will accept.
No, but I like a squirrel's cape.
So
it's the
do
right
I.
Me
size.
too.
I mean, we could meet in the middle, perhaps. Ferrets,
Hamster?
waistcoat.
I think a ferret's cape would have to be a bit longer.
Yeah, I think
very
let's do-
long in the trunk.
Yeah.
I think given that it's a foodstuff, hamster is probably confusing.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
Gerbil's cape. Too
Oh,
fat.
maybe.
Anyway, it was.
Okay.
I thought it was a reasonable slice of turkey, personally.
Did you?
And I thought a generous hunk of stuffing.
And what about pig in a blanket?
Well, one pig in a
Singular.
blanket.
Yeah.
Problematic.
I was from a distance. It looked a bit like a nativity scene with the baby Jesus in front of a bale of hay.
He was wrapped in a lovely blanket.
Yeah.
Now, well, the
No
parents...
sign of the 9 Magi.
Where were Caspar, Melchior and Balthazar?
Yeah.
As I used to say regularly in my youth at my parties.
Is that your fellow godchildren or whatever it was? Can't remember. Yeah, so it was. I didn't think it was that, but the big argument was it was £3.50.
Yeah.
I think that's
A real deal.
reasonable. £3.50.
Well,
Isn't it?
my son told me that at his school the Christmas dinner is free.
Wow, good old Marcus Rashford.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Lisa Binney.
Oh, yeah.
This is why I love our readers.
Lisa!
Well, this is why I love our readers, for this and so many other reasons. The fact that she knows this. Lisa Binney has pointed out we were talking about Lady Sov and the unit of measurement she referred to, which was, Frank?
The cat's paw.
The cat's paw. And Lisa Binney has pointed out Lady Sov had actually stolen a cat's paw, close quotes, of mashed potato.
Oh, had she?
So I think there was a debate going on.
Oh,
in the
look,
Big
it was
Brother
only
house.
a cat's
Yeah, it was
paw.
only a cat's paw.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
More often served in a dollop, isn't it? Mashed potato. I think
Exactly.
A dollop
Well,
of
they
mashed
had those. You know
potatoes
those
is praise,
fabulous. They look a bit like the thing that Atlas is holding up outside the Rockefeller Center in New York. It was a scoop, and then a sort of a silver bar would slide across it, releasing the mashed potato from its little cave. Lovely.
We were
Lovely.
talking earlier about the school dinner at the school in West Sussex, which parents were so incensed by. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the comments, one parent said it was like something out of Oliver Twist.
Got a bit of breaking news on that, actually. The school have they've acted swiftly and banned camera phones. That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
rather than,
they should have
rather
done
than
that.
improving the dinner.
They also, someone else said, my dog eats better for half the price.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I find dog food
Send
quite
me the
expensive.
details, mate, because
But also-
it's a rip-off, innit?
Whose dog doesn't? I was eating fish fingers last night. My dog had lamb terrine.
Wow.
This is the modern world for dogs.
Wow.
One of
Part of
the
the problem is that the schools are kind of normal schools, because a posh school could style it out, couldn't they? They could just say, like, it's a suggestion of turkey lounging on a soupçon of bread with a hint of pig in blanket. That's what they could do.
You're
Can I
right.
Like it's
say-
a fine dining menu.
At the risk of sounding like an old bag, that ship sailed many years ago, I hear you say. Fine.
Great prefix.
At the certain risk of sounding like an old bag, I can remember, yes, I'm going there. I mean, the idea of me as a child coming home and saying to my parents I didn't like the food I was served and them taking me remotely seriously was laughable. My mother would have said, you're a child, you get what you're given.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think there's been some progress, but I know what you
Oh,
mean.
that's a shame.
I think that one of the teachers said that they had prepared nice food, but the dog ran off with it.
It's the first time in history a teacher has said to her pupil, aren't you chewing?
Oh, come on. And the next one.
We did so. Let's
Did you
be
see that one when
honest.
that one of the parents said that the school should hang their heads in shame, and the head said, "No, we're not having that. You can't. Capital punishment is done."
Can I just say though, guys, they said it's like something out of Oliver Twist. We were regularly given semolina, lumpy custard. I mean, what do these children want? Salt Bay steaks with gold
I love
leaf?
school dinners. Was much better than what I got at home. I love school dinners
I
when
love
I was at school. It's great.
And I did get them free, like Marcus Rashford.
Yeah. The trouble is with Marcus Rashford, I think him and Jamie Oliver have gone a bit like Bob Geldof and Bono. They're sort of treading on each other's toes, and the whole system's collapsed.
I mean, it didn't look like the best school dinner, but you know, you're at school. What do you want, San Lorenzo? Come on.
You tell them.
Al's got that free school dinner singing because I mentioned he went to drama school.
What a lovely Christmassy note to end it on,
did.
boys.
So look, I've got some stuff. By the way, I'm wearing a jumper knitted by Judith, which is the mother of the producer, Sarah. And it's very nice. I haven't had a hand-knitted jumper since I was at school. And it feels all like I've had it for years, cosy and lovely, and it looks great. In fact, we got a photo. We're sticking up. She's done a great job.
You look
God bless
lovely.
you, Judith. Thank you for that.
On the Smedes.
What's that?
The social meds.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
The Smeeds.
I didn't know they were called that.
They're not.
Such an education. This
I don't know
thing.
if they are, but anyway.
Next week, we won't be live. And I know normally when we're not live on Christmas, it's Christmas Day actually, next week. Normally it's a greatest hits.
Yeah.
But this Christmas Day, there is a greatest hits, but only in podcast form, not being broadcast on Absolute Radio. I know what you're thinking. As Churchill said, this may not be the beginning of the end, but it could be the end of the beginning. Anyway, then on New Year's Day, there will be the second half of our best of, and that will be on Absolute Radio and all the Decade stations, and that's New Year's Day, as I say. And then there'll be a podcast for that. Does that make sense? So next week we're in podcast form only, and the week after that we're broadcast and podcast our greatest hits. And it's not one of those, volume 2 of greatest hits you get with albums and stuff. They're really scratching together the sort of school Christmas dinner of Christmas hits. There's a bit of this and a bit of... We balance them so they're both beautifully fabulous.
Yeah.
They're great. I think Al said they're the best 2 shows of the year.
Oh,
Because they're the best bits.
full of best bits.
Yeah. I think we come to the end. By the way, we also won something for being, I don't really understand what it is, but we're one of the Amazon best podcasts of the year, voted for by listeners. So thank you for voting for us.
Yeah.
That's it for 2021 as far as live is concerned on this show. Thank you so much for being with us this year. I hope you all have a fantastic Christmas and get to spend times with your loved ones and in some cases your family. And you know what? If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next
3 weeks.
Yeah, then. Thanks so much. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.